Hey everybody, it's your girl Chrissy coming to you with another episode of Drink Some Tea. This episode I am discussing turning the big 3-0 and everything that led up to me being the woman that I am right now. My special guest today is my best friend Jasmine. This episode was full of laughter and fun. It was actually the first episode we recorded, so I am super excited for you all to hear just the growth I've experienced in the last 10 years. So just take a listen and let me know what you think.
Yeah, sick. Drink some tea with Chrissy. Yeah. Yeah. Drink some tea with Chrissy. Say. Yeah. Drink some tea with Chrissy. Yeah. Drink some tea with Chrissy. Drink some tea with Chrissy. Yeah. Drink some tea with Chrissy. Yeah. Yeah. Drink some. Yeah.
What clicked at 30? So, my extremely special guest is one of my favorite people in the world, Jasmine, and we talk about everything under the sun. Let's do this. What was your initial reaction, like, approaching your 30th birthday?
Dread.
Yeah. I remember that.
It. You know I hated it.
I remember that. I
hated it. I secluded myself. I was
upset. First of all, I didn't hear from you for like a week, which wasn't not normal. But I remember, I'm like, okay, so what do you want to do for your birthday? He was like, I don't want to do anything. I'm like, I didn't
want to do anything.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see anyone. I was like, I hated it.
Did you do anything with your twin or no?
No, I don't think we did anything. I think maybe that was our 29th birthday.
Yeah.
That we actually hung out. But I don't do a lot much whatever on our birthday. I don't do anything with it. Ever.
We both had very different perspectives, and we've had this conversation multiple times. And you've had a little bit more time to experience 30, and I'm only...
Damn. Yeah.
2 months
We're
in.
We're going to put it like that.
Two and a half months in.
Yeah.
But it was like...
The low-key shade.
It's not shade. Okay, out of us both...
So old as hell and...
Yeah. For me... Mm-hmm. I welcomed it, and I think because...
You did.
I welcomed it with open arms, because... 10 years ago, I was knocked up. Like,
you wanted a whole party and everything.
I wanted a dinner. I didn't want a party, because only 3 people really mess with me anyway. You know what I mean? Like, what I will say is that I was more welcoming to it than I was welcoming 20, because I turned 20.
Why is that?
I turned 20, and then I had a baby. Like, my life was over. You know what I mean? Not really over.
Yeah, and you just had to get to it. You know what I mean? Like, at 20, you really didn't have a choice but to, like, dive into life.
Or I could have been a deadbeat. I mean, that was the other option, but...
Because you... with your personality, no, you couldn't.
Not at all. Not at all.
What's something you would say that you will no longer accept?
Oh, shoot. I give you about 15 things, but I'm going to give you the number one thing.
Okay.
Is I will love exactly who I am. And that sounds so cliche, but for the longest time, I made excuses for why I was the way I was. And I always try to diminish my strong personality. Mm-hmm. And I realize I'm not for everybody as much as I try to be. I realize that I'm very assertive. And I do realize, and I guess the growth part of that is I could be assertive and not rude. And that was something I struggled with. And I still struggle with that. I can tell you, like, I don't like what you have on, and it sounds rude. I can mean well, but that's my personality. But the number one thing is I am falling in love with me. Like, and I'm not just talking about running and taking care of yourself mentally, because you cannot hold yourself accountable and say you love yourself. You can't, because if that's the case, that's just pride that you're walking in.
Right.
And for me,
that's good. And
that's what I learned in my 29th and my 30th year.
Yeah.
So what about you? What is your number one thing?
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I would say it is accepting who I am wholeheartedly. Mm-hmm. I think because my personality is really, like, quiet and chill. I mean, if I'm cool with you, I'm very bubbly and stuff. But I feel like we live in a world where it's almost required for you to be an extrovert. You know, like your people deem you odd. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you're not out there, you're not loud, you're not da-da-da-da. And that's just not my personality. Yeah. It took me a long time to get there. To accept that. Yeah. Like you don't have to be the loud. Yeah, like you don't have to be the loudest one in the room or whatever. Or or allow other personalities to kind of overshadow yours. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, I think that's one thing that I really had to accept. I have this extremely stupid tattoo, you know, on the side of my leg. That says, be true to yourself.
And when did you start doing that?
I was 19, and I was pushed into the chair at the tattoo place by one of my older friends, and I've never followed it. I've never lived up to that shit ever. And it's literally just now 32. I'm quickly approaching 31. So to 31, 29 to 31, where I'm kind of getting there, where I'm like, okay, well, this is me, and I'm not going to try to be anybody else, you know, other than who I am. And, you know, another thing is just being 30 and childless. Yeah. 30, childless, unmarried. Like, I feel like the main topic of conversation when I do get back together with family and link up with family is, oh, damn, Jess, when you having kids? What's up? Da-da-da-da-da. Like, and it's...
You know what's crazy to me, though?
What?
All of this is by choice.
It is by choice.
Because I can count how many times you've been proposed to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want children right now. I remember, I will never forget that day. You was like, I don't think I want to get married. I was on a beach in Florida.
Fully engaged. Like,
mind
no,
you,
this
with
isn't
a whole
gonna happen.
6-month-old. I'm like, so you just going to leave me out here in this marriage life by myself.
Yeah.
And you just
That's
like,
true.
I don't want to get married. Like, one thing I always admired is that you always, if you felt something, I don't think, even though if you felt like you weren't sure about, you know, who you were, or wasn't being true to yourself, I remember it was times where I would just be like, I would not have made that decision because I was so unaccepting of me. I made a lot of decisions quickly because of that. For instance, even getting into that relationship, like, I don't regret my son at all.
Of course.
But I don't think I was ready. I know I was not ready to be a parent, a wife, or anything at that time. Like, I was still coming off of a crazy relationship. I still had a temper problem. I still have a temper problem, but I learned to harness it. And I just remember, like you, if stuff got bad, no matter how bad it got or how long you endured it, you just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I can remember when you just ended that whole situation, you called me like, yeah, I'm at my mom's house. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
I remember that. And I just remember, like, admiring your strength because I could have never done that at that time because I was so needing the validation of a man. Like, truthfully, I was so needing that.
But, I mean, as much as I'm absolutely loving the praise, sis, I will say that I have to put out there that it was a really horrible and abusive relationship. You know what I mean? I don't want it to just come off like I was just this, like, empowered woman who's like, oh no, I'm just, you know what, I'm done. I want to live this free life. Like, it wasn't like that. It was kind of like I have to make the decision to leave because it was abusive, physically, emotionally. Like that man took a lot of me away. So it's like it got to the point, and I'll never forget your aunt telling me, "You're not gonna marry him."
And she told you like a year before that.
She did.
Because you switched the day like 8 times. I'm like, okay, so what dress I need to get? You was like, I'm gonna tell you later. I'm like, you said the wedding
because I wasn't for sure about him. I wasn't happy about him.
You know how I knew? You never brought him around me.
Never. I think once.
And I was like 7 months pregnant. I was like, oh, okay, hey.
But it was a not to put too much out there, but it was horrible.
Yeah.
You know, and because of that, I isolated myself from family, from you, from friends, everybody. I just was like, okay, I'm in this situation. I don't know if anyone has been in an abusive relationship, but it really like cripples you in a way. You know what I mean? It takes you from everyone you love. It's like you just kind of like they knock it, and that's what he would do. He would knock at my self-esteem, like everything about me. So you didn't feel confident enough to reach out to family or strong enough to reach out to family and friends and say, hey, look, this is what's going on with me or whatever. Like, I didn't feel that, and it just got to the point where we were in a situation where we had to leave the house we were living in. We had to get out of there, and so I truly believe it's only by the grace of God. I truly believe that it was meant for us to break up, us to leave the house, and for me to find out, you know, which was eventually the last straw. He was cheating. When she blew up my phone at work. You know that situation.
Oh, I remember that situation.
She blew my phone up at work. Like,
pregnant and all.
Who the fuck is this? Like, blowing my phone up. And she literally was my saving grace. I'm not going to lie. As crazy as that sounds. Like you said, hindsight is 20/20. It really is. Because it's like, I looked at that and I'm like, oh my God, this is my way out. Thank God. You know what I mean? And I went home and I packed everything I could in my little car in 30 minutes. And I put my ring on the speaker downstairs. And I went upstairs and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm out to go.
You could be here for another week.
I was like, yeah, you could stay here. I mean, but I'm gone. I'm leaving. And, you know, it took a lot of courage to do that. Because, I mean, he tried relentlessly, even I truly believe to this day. But he tried relentlessly to, you know, keep this relationship going. But it couldn't. It couldn't. And remember, I was also putting it out there because someone may need to hear it. Like, I was also drinking very heavily. And like I said, I mean, he couldn't do anything without alcohol. He couldn't go to the movies without making a drink. He couldn't walk, you know, to the park. We couldn't walk in the park without him making a drink. And because he was drinking, I was drinking. You know what I mean? And it was like...
So was drinking a coping mechanism for you?
It was. It was. I mean, drinking made the fighting easier. It made the sex better. Like, straight up. Like, it was like... Drinking was... It made everything seem not as serious as it truly was. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of that soft blow. So when it got really bad where we were downing... huge absolute bottles, one every weekend. I remember my brother came over and I just needed someone to tell me, hey, you fucking up. Like, I really needed somebody. I was too embarrassed to come to you. And I was like, I needed someone to be like, hey, look, like, what the fuck are you doing? And so I pulled out, I remember my brother came in my kitchen and I just went into our cabinets and I just started setting the absolute bottles on the table, just one after the other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just setting them on the table. And I was like, we drink one of these every weekend. And he was just looking at me like, what the fuck? Like, he was like just seeing the look of like sadness and him being appalled. Like,
simply
it was just
because
like,
you're not a heavy drinker.
No, I'm not.
And I think that's something with the both of us. I don't drink.
Yeah,
I drink.
Not like that.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I mean? Like, we could go out and my thing is I have 1 or 2 or I don't drink at all. But I truly do believe that I remember that time and I remember us talking, but you being like, I always know when something's wrong. Like, whenever you come out, I was like, I got something to tell you. I'd be like, yep. You be like, how you know? I'm like, I had a dream. You be like,
that's
all
true.
right. You know what I mean? So I like,
true.
and I know it. And I think one thing that I cherish about me and you is we don't force each other to tell when we're ready. We're ready. I remember when I was in school and I was going through a lot. My granddad was passing away. He had just died. He was a very big fixture in our family. I remember Kai was only 1. I remember literally by August of that year, I graduated college and everybody's like, oh, you're supposed to be proud. I ended up being pregnant. I found out I was pregnant. I remember I told you that.
Yeah.
And I remember pretty much going through a nervous breakdown because of my family dynamics at that time. And I remember you watching, it's nothing like watching your friend go through something and you cannot do anything to help them.
Right.
Like anything. And I remember you just sitting there soothing me, but like no words could help me and you knew that. And you never told me to leave a situation. You never told me to get out of a situation.
Yeah.
And you felt some kind of way, but I remember you doing everything as possible. I remember you telling me to eat, calling me every morning, checking on me. And I just truly remember 28 was when I started, like, year 28 is when I started being true to myself. Because it was something about no longer needing validation from anybody. Not my mama, not my daddy, not anybody. And right now I'm starting to see the effects of it. Because no matter what's going on in my life, I remember before, if something was going on in my home, guess what? I couldn't work out. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do this. Now, every
Yeah,
morning at
you
5
ready.
a.m.,
You
I'm
out.
running